And here we are at 3928, no? 3829 Via del Rancho. Susan will be okay with that. All right, so what we're going to do is we're talking about Carlos, the landscaper, and the work that he was going to do because my original video uh, has gone MIA. So all these fortnight lilies should have been cut back every year down to the ground. So this would be completely trimmed back. As you can see, there's a fire hydrant here, which you can't even tell. This whole bush tree is completely overgrown, as well as this would need to be, this hawthorn bush would be completely cut back, and all these guys around here would be whacked down to the ground. This tree, I think, is going to be fine. These bushes here have overgrown to such an extent that they will be trimmed back. As you can see, you can see that it's so heavy and overgrown that it's now just flapped over, and the root is, the base of it's exposed. It shouldn't be that way. This here, instead of having them removed, there's multiple plants going on in here, which shouldn't. This looks like it's probably a Carolina jasmine that was probably attached here. We'll have this trimmed back, and these fortnight lilies will need to be thinned away from the concrete, and then will be whacked down to the ground. Same thing with this fortnight lily. This is, I believe this is jasmine of some sort, so this will all be cleaned up. This tree will be cut down and trimmed into a bush shape. This will be removed. This is a seedling from this tree and should not be here. These hawthorn bushes will be trimmed away from the house itself and trimmed down. This also will be thinned out and trimmed back, and this will all be cleaned up. There's many things going on here that shouldn't be. This bush here would need to be completely trimmed up. As you can see, it's just completely overgrown and back in here, and it's going into the neighbor's yard. Can you tighten up on this bird of paradise back here? That is probably about a 200-pound bird of paradise, if not more. That would need to be dug up, and hopefully we won't damage it, and put into the backyard. Okay? As you can see down here, we can't even have access to the actuators for the sprinkler system because it's just so overgrown and a mess back here. All right, we'll go to the side. Same thing here. These will all be completely trimmed down, and we'll probably pull some of these out so they're not up and over onto the concrete. We'll make sure that this is trimmed back and away from the meters. We'll go and this guy is completely overgrown and over into the other person's yard, pushing on the fence. You can see one of the large branches is going to cause damage to the fence here, as well as all these bushes will be thinned out and trimmed up. So a continuation of this overgrown bush, it's now practically a tree. This will all have to be thinned up and brought back. As you can see, this is just layers and layers and layers of leaves, and there's also grasses and things under there that shouldn't be growing. This would need to come down to probably just above the fence line, which is at 6 feet. Back in here you have many grasses like this right here. Should not be here. This will get huge. This is one of those grasses that I said needed to have about 20 feet around, and you see them out in the wild. That should not be there. Through here, this is way too heavy and overgrown for the thin area that it's got, so we would whack this way down, and we would probably end up removing a lot of these agapanthus so that they're not on top of the concrete anymore. Clean this up, thin this out, thin out the cannas, and the agapanthus down at the bottom there too. Looks like the this here and this over here, these are bamboo, and they are they're very dry and brittle, and we will try and bring those back. If not, they may need to come out. This bush here is completely overgrown onto the neighbor's side and needs to be whacked down about 6 to 7 feet and thinned out. This will go ahead and stay. This is a, I believe it's called a carnelian, and which will have beautiful flowers in it. All this Mexican heather will be thinned down and trimmed down to about here, and it will come back beautifully. This bush here, overgrown. Same here. That tree is fine where it is. Back here, again, we will trim back all the Mexican heather. And up in here, this needs to be moved back and centered over here, and we will either remove this or correct it.
Front door. And there's a third one.
We'll just have it trimmed back away from the house. Can you come around here and get this side?
Put that in the box.
Okay. As you can see, the water is not hitting all the grass, and it's dying. So back in here, this is actually a trumpet vine that is supposed to grow up and over this, which would be beautiful once it gets going. But this here, can you tighten it on this? This is papyrus, and it's dead. And so basically it's just an eyesore. So what we would do is have this all dug up and removed, and we would replace all this sod here, replace it with sod, trim these bushes, correct these bushes back here. Can you see the Mexican heather? It's so overgrown, it's just dead. All this would be cleaned up. Those bushes would be corrected. Same thing on this side. There's a couple of the papyrus. These should not be here in the grass. This would all be cleaned up and removed, and then sod would be put down to correct. Back here, again, Mexican heather would be cleaned up. This fence needs to be repaired, at least the one board, and then we can talk about that at another time if you want help with it. This would be cleaned up. This would be cleaned up. Trim back the bushes, get them away from the house. This grass is going to turn into this. This you find wild out in the green belts, and this has to be removed. It's going to end up breaking your fence down. And I don't know if you can get back there and take a look just to show. There's bushes and some things that need to be cleaned up there. It's not too bad, but the trees need to be trimmed so they're not overgrowing onto the neighbor's fence.